So what is Sales Insights? Well, Sales Insights harnesses the power of artificial intelligence, empowers teams to understand data in ways they could not previously, helping create efficiencies and getting more from your resources. Microsoft's vision for Sales Insights is to enhance the capabilities of the sales teams by bringing in AI as part of the core ingredient that augments each selling activity, customer interaction, and a business decision with intelligence. Sales Insights is available for Dynamics 365 for Sales as a pre-built add-on, which is easy to deploy and to configure, and it makes an immediate impact to your sales performance. In the next videos, we will cover off a series of capabilities to demonstrate how Sales Insights can help your team sell smarter, strengthen relationships, identify next best actions, and how it helps your leaders coach sellers more effectively. So, Sales Insights Premium Assistance. What this does is it enables any administrator to basically go into the back end of Dynamics and create these what we call insight cards. So you can see here, look, create a new insight card. It gives you a few sort of templated ones that you might use. So an opportunity health score is updated, showing a card basically. Opportunity stage changes, show a card. You can see we can do more templates. There's a load in here that you could choose from that you can set up, and it uses Power Automate. Or you can go over here and create from blank. So you can set cards up for almost anything, basically. But we also get a load of these cards out of the box, insight cards down here. So you can see this card will be displayed like that when an email is opened. This card will be displayed in that format, when an up and coming flight's coming up. It's telling us about nearby customers, recent meetings, stakeholders, missed emails, competitors mentioned. Basically, once all these have been set up in the background, what we then start seeing from either a dashboard or over here on the relationship assistant, these notifications. So you can see here we've got an email. You can see somebody in that email has mentioned a competitor. So Salesforce was mentioned in an email. Respond to the email. You can open it and reply straight from there if you need to. Over here we can see there's an up and coming meeting. So this meeting's due to take place shortly with this person. Because it's got a location, if we click into this, you can see open the appointment straight from this card. You can like it, you can snooze it so it appears again later. We can email the attendees of this meeting. But what's also really useful, one of the other cards, is because this meeting's in a certain location, one of our customers in our accounts table over here is near to this location. So it might be that when you're visiting this person around this meeting, then it would make sense to try and arrange a meeting for these guys that are nearby as well. So yeah, assistance is basically just showing us all of these cards, all in one place with notifications and prompts, using a bit of AI. And then obviously you can see also once you're on an individual record, you can see the assistance here as well. So you get the notifications on the individual person's record as well as up here, globally. So Sales Insights Premium Autocapture feature. What this enables us to do is you can see over here, I'm logged in and I've got a couple of emails. I've got from say Jake here, unread. I haven't tracked them into the database yet. I've also got an invitation over here for a calendar appointment. When we go into Dynamics and we find the individual contact record, like here for Jake, obviously we can see the email address here. What it will start telling you is these activity suggestions. So when you're on your timeline for any individual that you would have an email that's been sent to your email without you actually opening it and tracking it into the database previous, it would tell you you've got these activity suggestions here. So I can see there's 3 here that, do I want to push these into the database for everybody else to see? Then I can come over here and I can just click on the tick, which will save it. That will then track it, and you can see that the email will be saved as an activity and will become visible to others who have access to see this contact. Again, you can say don't show that again if you need to, but basically that will create that in the database. And then once we've done that, it appears on the timeline for people with the right security roles to see. But what we've also got then, if we click over here on the left hand side, you can see it's just automatically refreshed that on the timeline. Over here, activity suggestions, this is looking at everything. So you can see here's that new email product demo from Jake. So if you're only on the individual record, you can see it. which, you know, the basic Autocapture will give you, but this gives you everything all in one place. So activity suggestions are all in here. So there's 37 things that have, you know, been pushed into the database that I would need to basically track in against these. You can see here regarding entities and things like that. So notes analysis, basically, you can see here. I've added a note just saying follow up with Jake, you know, next week. If I click onto the subject line, the description field here, Dynamics will now prompt me to create this appointment. I can just do edit and create, and this will create an appointment for me in the background. So we have a view in Dynamics that says open opportunities by relationship. So it helps the sales teams work out the status of the opportunities. So you can see we've got poor, we've got fair, good, you know, whether they're improving, declining. And this is based on interaction that we've spent with this opportunity based on phone calls and emails. So this one here is 6.5 hours, just over 1.5 hours. You know, it's not great, whereas this one's good and it's improving because we've engaged with the customer. So this is based on their responses as well. This is looking at a period of time. So this is based on previous won opportunities, and it's basically summing it up to work out, you know, whether this is in good stead or not. Again, you can see some nice charts over here, some pipeline charts. So you can see the ones that we really want to be concentrating on, the ones in green. The ones in red, you know, we're not getting a lot back from the client. And then of course you can see on the relationship analytics tab over here on the opportunity itself, we then get to see this, and this is based on, you can see here, emails from us, from them, phone calls and meetings, how much we're spending time from our end, how much their response time is from their end. And it's obviously giving us, you know, if they're really engaged in this opportunity, then we've got a better chance of winning this deal. So it's a lot of information in there to help the sales team close off, but specifically identify which opportunities they should really be working on. It's a good starting point to talk about in the Monday morning sales meeting. So lead scoring is part of the sales insights feature. What we get is we get a couple of these my open lead scored view. Within the view, obviously you can see the lead score. We can see whether the lead's improving, whether it's steady, whether it's declining. We've got a grading system as well around this. So if we just click into the lead here, you can see on the right hand side, so this lead for Charlie Owens is a grade A. It's rated 96. It's improving. The reason it's rated all of these, in the background we train the lead scoring model to be what we want it to be. So in this scenario, we've set it to be, you know, lead has a C-level position for management, so it's gone up. You can see the green arrows going up. Charlie Owens has mentioned 3 competing products on a most recent call, so that's obviously what's taken the score slightly down from being 100. And obviously the company is from finance industry and it has so many employees. So part of our model in the background has said if it equals X amount of revenue between 100 and 250 million, then grade it higher than another one. Obviously, if you've got a number of employees between 250 and 1,000, obviously grade it higher than one that has less than 250 employees. So taking all these parameters into play gives us a nice grading model, and obviously based on additional fields, we can see whether this lead is improving or not. So premium sales forecasting as part of the sales insights. I believe this is one of the best features of sales insights personally. What it enables your end users and your managers to do on the left hand side is, you can see down here we have this forecasts area. This is where they can then go through, have a little look at what their team's doing, you know, and sort of analyze whether we're going to be on target for, you know, hitting our quota this month type scenario. Now this is all made up in the background. You can see I've just set up a July to December forecast for this year. Previous to that I had January to June forecasts. You can see in here we can set it up to be org charts, so we can look at organizations and have you know, quota against that. We can do product forecasting, so we can do roll-ups based on products that we're selling based on their hierarchy if we need to. Territory forecasting, so based on certain areas. The 2 I've set up for today's sort of scenario here are based on users, and it's based on opportunities. So again, you can set up as many of these you need to in the background. Once you've done that, we come down here into forecasts, and then you can see here those forecasts that you've set up, obviously the ones that are now inactive, you know, the active ones that are in here, very role specific as well, you know, security roles. If you can't see it, you can't see it. But you can see we're looking at this July to December forecast. Over here, we've got this July's ended. If I click into that, show me all the figures for July. August has ended, and obviously there's 19 days left of the current period that we're in September. So we can flick and change that in there. Now what we've done is, because I've set this up to be user level, you can see, I'm the sort of area manager in this scenario, and then I can expand that. Below me, I've got people that are working for me. So, I've got my own target to hit here. And that's based on, this target from myself and Richard, what he's doing. Fiona's got £45,000 here. If I expand that, then that's £20,000 made up of her own target plus one of her, sales team, which is Mark, and he's got £25,000 of that target as well. Vice versa, you can see all these people and what they've got and the people they report to, basically, that sit below them. And then if we click into one of these, so I've just clicked into Chris for this scenario, you can see it will then show me over here. We can see Chris, that's his target. Prediction is 42,000. Best case scenario, because we've got a field called forecast category. You can see pipeline. So this pipeline's got £8,000 in it. We look over here, we can see pipeline is 41,445. Now if I was to come in here, this is all editable. If I change that to say, actually, this is now best case, because I've just spoke to the client and actually we believe we are going to win this. It's not just part of our pipeline. It's not fully committed yet, because committed is another value you can see over here. But this is best case scenario. I believe this probably will come in at the end of this month. Takes the figure away from there and you can see it'll adjust this figure in here. And we can go in here and we can adjust the accounts. We can adjust the estimated close date. You want to shift it to next month. Over here, if I wanted to reassign this, I can come off of here and I could say, actually, this is now going to go to Simon, who's one of, there we go, so associate that to Simon. And if I just close that off, Simon, now if I click into Simon, we'd now see that over here in his one. So you can see there it is when it comes through. But you can see it's just a way of seeing all of your information all in one place. We can go in here, we can then come in here and we can adjust any of these figures if we need to. So if I wanted to then adjust this figure here without having to go into the individual opportunity, I could then adjust all the values that it rolls up to above it. So you can see now that's adjusted our pipeline over here, because it's part of this pipeline here. If we want to then see that in more detail, we can click on the pop out here. That will then load that up. We can go through, we can do closes won, closes lost, adjust it on the sort of, this form that's popped out. We can then close out, or we can pop it out even further and take up the whole screen. And then a couple of things we can do. We can change the view that this is looking at. So if I wanted to just look at, say, closing this month, that would show me all ones that are closing this month. And you can see again, there's different values, different columns in here that we can then go through and adjust if we need to. You can set these views up in the background, and then you can come in here and have them as editable. We've also got the ability to then show as a Kanban board. So instead of having this as a table, we can have this as Kanban. So instead of just changing it from pipeline to being now committed, I could just drag that and I can drop that in there. That now changes the status. Now you can see it adjusts the values above here accordingly. So really nice few things that we can do from that point of view. Obviously then we've got the quota. So this is what we're setting up as your target that we want you to hit each month, which we've just set up as part of this forecast. Best case obviously is just drop down value, same as committed. We can set this up to look at any values that you want. So if you wanted to do this on a rating scale, hot, warm and cold for example, then we can have that in here as an option set as well. Any option sets you've got in your sales pipeline, we can bring into these columns if we need to, just to see how much money is at each of these different values. Obviously won and lost, we're obviously adjusting lost. If we've lost out to a competitor, we can then go in here and adjust these values. Anything that's won, we can go in here. Pipeline again is just another value like best case and committed. Now the prediction model. The prediction model is basically leveraging AI, and it's looking at the sales team's past historical data. So if Richard's typically at the end of the month closes all of his deals on the last Friday of the month, then it's going to know that, and it takes that in consideration. So we have to have a lot of closed opportunities in the past to train this model. Once we've done that, it's looking at current trends and it's looking at historical data, and it's giving us this prediction in here. So we can see that he's, that's his target, 40,000. He's predicted to close 41,000. Even though, at this point in time, he's only closed £33,000 of his pipeline. He's lost 3,200. He's got a bit of pipeline in here, and he's got these best case scenario in here as well that he thinks he might be. He hasn't committed any yet, whereas, Fiona down here, she believes that she's going to close £20,000 of that. And that's why her prediction's slightly higher. And then when we come over here to the trend, we can actually see this on a nice chart. So again, it will just identify all of those sales team members that, you know, beginning of the month don't do nothing and then they close off everything at the end of the month or move it across to the next month. You can see it's just giving you, so prediction, obviously, you know, 3rd of September, we were predicting it to be up here. Something's obviously changed, you know, deal was lost or won or status was changed. But you can see towards the end of the month, come September the 30th, we're going to be over here, predicted analysis. So probably Chris needs to buck his ideas up. His quota is right the way up here. You can see he's £25,000 quota. He's only predicted to be closing that amount off. Whereas when we click into, say, Richard, we get to see, again, this is only for this period, for September. We can change that and look at the other periods if we need to as well. Whereas Richard, you can see we're already up here. This is his quota of 40,000. He's slightly below that, but, you know, come 27th, we believe he's going to be near on it. And then based on his historical data and things in his pipeline that he's going to close off by the end of the month, he will be £1,890 over his quota. So he should hit that this month. We probably don't have any concerns about Richard based on this model. So again, it's just really there to identify a few things. And then one of the other things that we can look at is this flow. So when we click on the flow, you can see it's telling you how much money you've got at each of these different statuses. And obviously, if you click into that, it'll tell you how many opportunities you've got in each of those values. There's 8 opportunities at pipeline. There's 2 at, you know, best case, slipped deals. There's 1 slip deal for £20,000 basically there. And it's looking at this period that we've got set over here. So we're looking from the 10th to the 11th. Now, if I change that period and go from, say, the 2nd to the 11th, and I apply that, that will then look at a trend analysis flow for the 2 periods. So beginning of the month, we had no opportunities. What's changed? So why then come, and, you know, 11, sort of 9 days later on the 11th, we've now added 10 opportunities in. So Richard's added 10 opportunities within that period that equal £83,000 worth of his pipeline, and, you know, ones that he's put in his best case scenario. So again, you can change these values over here, what you're looking at. And this is looking at data that's been added as part of what we call this sort of grid history. So every single day, the system will take a snapshot of all of the opportunities that are in the system, and it analyzes that and produces these reports. So if I just go over here, let's see forecast grid history. The really good thing about this is at any point in time, I could go through and click on, say, you know, the 11th, and this is showing me what all of the figures are at this point in time. If I click on, say, the 2nd, then you can see there was a lot of, you know, zeros in there because people haven't really started adding their opportunities in this month. If I change that then to say, okay, well, let's look at the 8th. Okay, people started adding a few things by the 8th. But it's just giving you a snapshot of what was added at which time and day, basically, to make up these values. So, Sales Insights talking points. We're going to use Jake again. He's a little test account. You can see over here, because we've got a couple of emails from Jake. So we've got an email here that says he was sat watching TV with his wife Tracy and he saw the most recent product advertised. But because he's mentioned his wife Tracy, over here on the right hand side we have this talking points area. Now it's telling us that, you know, this came in an hour ago, but we're talking about family. So it would then show you the context of this. Now, previous to this, down here, we had an email saying thank you for the football tickets. Again, because he was talking about football tickets, you can see this little icon here represents family. This one's sports. So when we click on sports, it will show us all the talking points from this individual contact, anything to do with sports. So just saying, and then it will show you the email. So you haven't got to go and look for all of these emails in here. Anything that comes in from an email that's talking about health, family, sports related things, it will appear in here. So it's just helping anybody else then look at this as a talking point when they're on the phone call to Jake going forward. Of course, if you expand this, then you can just see them all on like their own little timeline like this. And of course you can expand it and see the context of that email. Same as this one. If we expand it, you can see the context there. So it's using a bit of AI. It's analyzing the context of the email and it's deciding whether it's health, family, sports, things like that. Prerequisite, you can have any phone call recording software that you decide to use. We need to upload it to Azure, and providing it's in Azure, this conversation intelligence panel will analyze the information that's happened within those phone calls. And you can then see we've got 3 areas. We've got the main home area here where we can slice and dice based on, you know, last 7 days, last month type scenario, how many deals were won, average revenue, win data. You can see it's then managing sort of tracked keywords, anyone who's mentioning maybe competitors in here, customer sentiment, which ones are happy, which ones, not so happy, negative. If we go to the team overview, really useful, we can then look at our sales team. We can analyze, so if we see talking speed, for example, I can see that Alan, who's our salesman, speaks a lot faster than, say, Molly. Up here we can see Molly, Alan and Riley are actually falling behind on the KPIs we've set based on phone calls we want them to make. Molly has the shortest average pause before she speaks again. Marta has the most negative feedback based on all of the conversations she's had with clients. If we look at seller details down here, so this is obviously Alan, it gives you a few analytics around him, what he's doing based on the last 30 days. Again, you can sort of start doing trend analysis on this over periods of time if you need to. If we just pick one of these calls, for example, closing the deal. This was the closing the deal was the last phone call that we tracked. So 1 minute 30 seconds, and this is when it took place on this time and day. These two competitors were mentioned on the phone call because it's doing a speech to text analysis. It's taking the information that clients said to us, it's putting it into this little sort of call script on the right hand side over here. You can play back the recording here if you need to hear it. They've mentioned brands. They're mentioning keywords in here. They've mentioned discount and VIP. It's basically bringing all your call data into one place so we can then analyze that using speech to text analysis.